see all the same faces every week on our little Thursday chats, like our private little group therapy session.
Well, I don't know. It's more therapy for me, actually. It's keeping me sane. So thanks a lot for coming to my crazy brain. thanks for showing up for the 1 hour a week that's keeping me going.
Thank you for sharing your crazy brain with us. Like, it's helped me more than I can try to put into words. I tried to put it into words a little bit last week and tell you, but yeah, it's been helping me. It's been helping my mom. I've been telling other people, sharing things that I've learned. So it's, your crazy brain is working for lots and lots of people.
Oh, thank you. I feel very humbled by all of that. I feel very, very humbled by all of that. Because we're going to take a little different skew today. I'm going to call on a few people to answer some questions. So be ready if that makes you nervous.
I'm nervous.
I have done my job.
We've talked about joy. We've talked about so much. And I think that what we're talking about today is courage. And I think that like, it all kind of stems from there, because we can know our why, find our why, and all of that stuff. But it really takes courage to go out there and explore and try to do all of this. So today in particular, we're talking about auditions. And so, like, should everyone go to, I mean, you and I have been through a lot of auditions together. We've been through a lot of auditions separately and on our own. And so what do you think? Do you think that everyone should audition? I have people jokingly tell me all the time, I'm going to come audition.
Yeah.
And I say,
well, actually, for today's class, the audition is really a metaphor for showing up to your dream. Ooh. It's about showing up as your most authentic self in everything you do. The reality is we are always auditioning. We are always selling ourselves. We are always having to step into scary situations that we don't feel comfortable with, situations that make our heart go like crazy out of our chest, situations where it's just super, super scary. I mean, we've talked about the why. Mm-hmm. We've talked about knowing that you are really the only one in this whole universe that has your special gifts and talents, but you still have to take a deep breath and step into the room. You still have to go, okay, here I go.
That is
so scary.
It is, that's so hard sometimes. It is. So you have, well, I've heard so many different definitions of courage over the years, and you have different definitions that I love, a new twist, the way you look on a lot of things. So I'm really, what is your definition of courage? Like, how does Linda Love-Simmons see courage?
Okay, so totally honestly, my version of courage is, but girl, pull your big girl panties on and just get into the room. So that's me. But I think that Brene Brown says it even better. Courage is a heart word. In one of the earliest forms, the word courage meant to speak one's mind by telling all one's hearts. Over time, the definition changed to what we typically think of it as with heroic or brave. But courage is the ability to do something that frightens you, or strength in the faith of words are super hard for me today, so I'm going to be all day, okay? So courage is the ability to do something that frightens you and step into your dream. To step into your dream, you need to have courage even when you're scared to do it. So my question for the room, get ready because I'm going to call on people. My question for the room is, have you ever had to have courage and you didn't want to? Have you ever had to have courage, but you're like, no, I'm not going to have courage, but you had to anyway? It's, you know, the reality is we're supposed to be scared. We're supposed to be like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And then the trick is to do it anyway. So Amber, I'm going to say, I'm going to ask my own self a question.
Okay.
When do I have the greatest fear? Every day. every day. But John Maxwell is an amazing leadership guy, and he says people most often regret the chances they have failed to take, not the chances they took that failed. And so I'm working hard in my personal life to be brave enough to stand and show up as my authentic self in everything that I do. I don't like it. Anyone else? Oh, you know what? I learned something. There are reactions down, like on the Zoom page. Do you see those reactions down there? You can do a hand clap or a thumbs up. So anyone who's ever felt like they didn't want to stand into their authentic self, do a reaction right now. Clapping, thumbs up. Good job. Because the reality is, y'all, if you're not scared, you're not doing it right. But it's about not having no regrets. Now, think back. I want you to think back when you were first starting in your career, on your career path, when you were first starting as a performer. Maybe you're not from California and this is a new thing for you. And you told your family, I am going to go to an audition for whatever it was, for Disney, or I'm going to interview for this job. And you talked to them about the job and you talked about them in the interview. And were they like, oh man, you have got that 100%? And they're like your cheering section. You have coaches and teachers who are all, John, I know that casting director and I'm going to give him a call for you. So you're walking into whatever the situation is and you're all, I've got this. Anybody ever felt that? Reaction time? Yeah, you can do thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs down, whatever. Yeah, we all we have those situations and then we don't get what we wanted it to happen. We don't have what we wanted to have happen. That is freaking vulnerable and it's super, super hard. Brene Brown, and the book that I'm quoting a lot today is Daring Greatly. And also Brene Brown's book, The Gifts of Imperfection, which actually she wrote way before Daring Greatly, 2 times before. Her first book was I Thought It Was Just Me. Her second book was Gifts of Imperfection, and then Daring Greatly came last. And I read them in reverse order, by the way. So if you're looking for stuff to read, I sent 3D a reading list, or you can post me and I can tell you all the things. She says, vulnerability is not about winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up even when you can't control the outcome. And here's the deal, y'all. We cannot control the outcome. I listen to people all the time. And I said, and I listened to them, oh, and then this is going to happen, and this is when Disney's going to open up, and this is when we're going to have shows. And they spend hours and hours trying to figure out the end of the book. And I just go, we're on chapter 4. We're on chapter 4. And again, you can't control the outcome of the audition, but you can learn to control your reaction to the outcome. I'm going to say that one more time. You can't control the outcome of the audition or the thing or the interview, but you can learn to control your reaction to the outcome.
And how do we do that?
Well, I'll tell you this, much to most of the people who knows me dismay, I am poly optimist. Okay. Yeah, it's all possible. But I really believe that mindset is everything. Carol Dweck in her book, Mindset, she really talks about a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And in the performing world, a fixed mindset kind of looks like, you know what, I'm awesome and I was gifted with a great amount of talent. And so I deserve this to happen and this is the way it's going to go. And if it doesn't go that way, then I'm doomed for failure and I'm not even going to try. They believe it's in their genes and it's just the way it's supposed to be. A growth mindset, on the other hand, those people believe that they can achieve whatever they want to as long as they work hard for it, dedicate themselves to their goal and practice as much as they can. The quote, hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard, is something that I really buy into. The reality is even with a growth mindset, you can't change the outcome. You just cannot change the outcome. So, but you have to practice getting a growth mindset. So for a way you can practice is, have you ever spilled something, like a big jug of milk or your coffee or whatever, you've spilled it and you're like, oh, I'm such an idiot, I'm so stupid. And then if your friends hear you talking like that, they say things like, don't talk to my friends that way.
Yeah.
Don't talk to my friend that way.
Mm-hmm.
It happens all the time. And the reality is it spilled? You can't change the outcome of the spill. So a way to practice that is to say, I should probably be a little bit more careful, and I think I'll clean it up. In an audition situation, it's the same thing. The reality is, for auditionings and job opportunities or whatever the case is, there is one job for probably 1,000 million trillion people who could do that job.
Yeah.
Right, Amber? There's one job. And you could be really great and you could have nailed that audition, but it just might not go your way. So you have to change the mindset to, okay, well, if there's one job for every 100 people, then I have to go to 100 auditions, or I have to try 100 times. And on the pathway to trying, you might go, you know what? I think I'm going to try something else. That doesn't mean you're a loser. That doesn't mean you lost. That doesn't mean you're a failure. Just meant that there was a different branch of the tree that you decided to climb. And that's just fine. That is just fine. But when you continue to work on your mindset is when you actually grow the ability to continue to reach your full potential. You're going to feel scared. You're going to feel depressed. You're going to feel anxious. But you have to say, what could I do? Always ask yourself the questions. And I am a real strong believer in write out your doubt. Write out your doubt. So when you feel like poo, or you feel like it's not fair, okay, guess what? Have you heard this before? Life isn't fair, so get over it, right? Life just isn't fair, but that's the cool part of life. That's the exciting part of life, is figuring out how to be great in the midst of what you think is unfair. And I just think sometimes the setback is the set up for something great.
Ooh.
So sometimes when you don't get that audition, or you don't get the thing that you wanted so much in your heart with all of your might and strength, and you just knew it was supposed to, sometimes that leaves space for the thing that's really supposed to bring you greatness. But I do have some tactics to use this, and I really want you to use your reaction signs as I talk about this. You have to know what you want, and you have to be able to start the process of getting ready. You have to know what you want, and that would look a lot like training your craft. Right? So we spend a lot of time going, okay, I want to get a job as a singer or a trumpet player or a teacher or a casting agent or whatever. And so we do that and we feel so like scared to do that, but you have to train and you have to have a place to start. Napoleon Hill writes, the starting point of all achievement is desire. So that's like the number one thing, is you have to start. You have to push yourself to act, and then you have to do it again. Take initiative to understand it's your responsibility. If you go to an audition and you totally biff your vocals, then you just got to practice that more. You got to practice singing it while you're running on a treadmill or you're dancing up and down. President Theodore Roosevelt writes, there is nothing brilliant or outstanding in my record except perhaps this one thing. I do the things that I believe ought to be done. And when I make up my mind to do a thing, I act. You've heard me say it 1 billion times. Do the stinking work. Do the stinking work. I took a class this week from Mel Collins, who wrote the book, The 5-Second Rule. And she's talking about changing mindsets and stuff. And she talks about the confidence competency loop, that we have this words, impossible, where we try something, and here's where we go. We try something, there's the top of the loop, and then we either succeed or we survive. How many of you have tried something and survived? Failed, but survived. You all survived. You're all here on this thing. Learn to survive. Then we learn something new. then we build a skill. And as we build a skill, we gain our competency in our area of skill, and then we have confidence. It's like this swirling cycle. You have to start somewhere. So again, try, succeed or survive, learn, build a skill, gain competency, gain confidence. And that just kind of swirls around. And it's like you can't just do it for one thing. You can't say, oh, I'm going to gain confidence in my auditioning. You have to do it in auditioning, then you have to do it in singing, and then you have to do it in showing up for your people. You have to do it in saying hard words or using your voice. And fourth, you need to make mistakes and fail super, super hard. To make things happen, you have to make mistakes fast. Thomas Watson, as the founder of IBM, said, the way to succeed is to double your failure rate. Okay, the way to succeed is to double your failure rate. And so again, you have to go to a billion auditions or a billion interviews or try a billion different jobs. The reality is, I believe that confidence comes from trying. Confidence comes from trying. Courage, Brene, again, quoting her, she writes, courage is like a habitus, a habit of virtue. You get it by courageous acts. It's like you learn to swim by swimming. You learn to courage by couraging, which I used earlier. You learn to courage by couraging. In the audition process, for me, I have 7 tips that will help, well, I think, people to be successful. Okay, so I'm going to talk about it in audition words, but I'm going to talk about it in human words too. The first one is that you have to be warm. So if you're a dancer, you have to warm up your body. If you're a human singer, you have to warm up your voice. If you're going into an interview, you have to warm up your interview skills. So you have to be warm. You have to be prepared, meaning, yes, you should go to the audition, but if the audition needs you to do a double pirouette and you cannot do a double pirouette, then you need to go back to step 1 and learn. You need to be nice. When you go to an audition, if you are mean to yourself or other people, it will be a horrible, horrible experience, and you will leave hating yourself and hating your life. So be kind. Be nice to everyone, the casting directors, the monitor, the people in the room. Make friends, get out of your comfort zone. I mean, honestly, some of my greatest friends are people that I auditioned with and didn't get the job, right?
Yeah.
Be cute, dress for success, meaning not just like that's everything, but you have to take pride. If you're a teenager and you were going to prom, you wouldn't just like wear your sweats. Be prepared, be cute, dress up, be smart, learn your craft, learn the things you need to do. My 6th one is be aggressive, not in a bad way, like I'm going to push you out of the way, but in a way like I'm going to take up the space I deserve. So often in our lives, we play small because we think that's the way we're supposed to play. But play your biggest, most truest self when you walk in the room. Not fakely or inauthentically, but know that if you are in a room, you got the interview, you deserve to get the interview. I recently got a new job, and I have said about that job that, oh, I only got it because it was a legal thing because I've been doing this work for 25 years and they're going to get in trouble by the law. Well, that is dumb. I needed to stop that madness. I needed to stop that ridiculousness. I'm freaking awesome. And I say that to you because I want you to have those words. You're freaking awesome. And if you get the job and they give you the stinking job, then you're supposed to be in the room. So sit at the table and stop. Okay, no wusses here. It's Brendan Burchard writes, it's those who fight the realities of starting, the uncertainty and doubt and failures and judgments that hate the journey. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to suffer the nights of doubt, and they don't want it to be so damn slow and difficult. Guess what? Those people aren't successful. Those people don't get the job. It's the people who anticipates the realities and faces them as a favorite teacher and helps to build character, skill, and confidence. Right? So
Yeah.
when things don't go the way we want them to go, that's great, because that is like the greatest possible teacher that we can have. And the reality is, as I've said it once, I've said it a trillion times, it's an odds game in the audition, work, life world. You have to put yourself out there a billion times. And that's the fun part. So see, it's the mind part. You go, yay, I'm on a roller coaster today. There's a million different paths. You know what's cool about I don't know, Star Tours is that there's what, like 27 different experiences. So every time you go on Star Wars, potentially you have a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's how life is too. I could do the same thing 100 times and I'm still not going to get it. So those of you who know my story know that the musical chorus line is so like, has a really special place to me. And in the opening number, I Hope I Get It, you see every mindset. You
Mm-hmm.
see the beginning, Zach says, step, kick, kick, leap, tip, kick, touch, again, 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 again. That means you have to keep doing things again and again. And then he says that connects with connect the dots. Turn, turn, out, in, got it, going on. You have to learn more. It's like crazy as I was listening. And the verse, God, I hope I get it. I hope I get it. How many people does he need? Look at all the people. So we have hope. And then what takes our focus away, we go, look at all the people.
Mm-hmm.
So now we live in the trap of comparison,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is just so bad. And then Trisha sings, I really need this job. Please, God, I need this job. I've got to get this job. And then we have self-doubt. I really blew it. I really blew it. How could I do a thing like that? I'll never make it. And then self-deprecation. He doesn't like the way I look. He doesn't like the way I dance. He doesn't like the way then you dance your heart out and then you have confidence and you go, I think I've got it. So you like cycle through all of those things. Yes, I think I've got it. And then self-doubt seeps back in and Paul sings, who am I anyway? Am I my resume? That is a picture of a person I don't know. What does he want from me? What should I try to be? So many faces all around and here we go. I need this job. Please God, I need this show. Hope. You know, it's scary. It's supposed to be. And we have to do those things. We have to do it again and again and again. And then we have to connect the dots and then we have to add on. And then it's just like anything, learning choreography or learning to write or learning to read. It's the add on that helps us to become better and stronger. Brene Brown, again, wrote, the dark does not destroy the light, it defines it. It's our fear of the dark that casts our joy into the shadows. Fear. So how do we get rid of fear?
Yes. Please tell us. God.
So one of my favorite quotes from Mark Twain is, I'm a very old man and I've had many, many worries. Most of them never happened. Okay. By show of a reaction, how many of you have spent a lot of time overthinking, worry, struggling about something that never happened? Okay, yes, hello, everyone is raising their hand because that is the truth, brothers and sisters, that we do struggle with that kind of junk. We get so deep in our head. The truth of this whole story is that true fear at the amygdala, the lowest part of our brain, is fight or flight. That's like a bear is chasing after you. A giant bear. Oh my gosh. Now that is some kind of fear. Most other kinds of fear are worries. So the first one, and I'm going to ask a few questions to people on the way, is the fear of loss. If I go to this audition and I don't get cast, I'm not going to be able to do the thing I love the most in all the world. And so we fear loss. Has anyone ever had a fear that they'll lose something if they don't do their dream? Stephanie. Okay, Stephanie, calling you out. control the outcome. And the reality is we cannot control the outcome. And
Yeah.
so the thing, when you have that fear of loss, the question to ask is, will I really lose something? And what could I gain? And so really trying to shift that mindset to the growth mindset is, okay, I didn't get the show, but what did I learn from this audition or this thing that I'm in? The second is the worry or the fear of the process. Like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so hard. It's going to be so hard to become a brain surgeon. Well, yeah, it would be really hard. I might have to change. I might have to do something that I don't like. Because in life, there's always stinking trade-offs, right? There's always trade-offs, and that's what makes the story interesting. So Samantha, yeah, let's go. Thank you so much, Sam. Okay, so here's the deal. The third one is fear of the outcome. What if I work really, really hard and I hate the fulfillment of my dream? No, that's not supposed to ever happen. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to tell you that I understand this one. What if you work really hard and then you get what you wanted for a really long time and you're like, oh, I don't like this.
Yeah.
It's like, oh crap. But the question you have to ask there is, where can I find joy in whatever the outcome is? And so that's when the teacher had to have her own lesson. I was like, oh yeah, I got to change my mindset. You know what I mean? And I got to fill my life doing this stuff that I need to do. Another thing that I think is so important, something that I've been working on this week. Okay, so I'm going to take you on a journey and I'm going to challenge you on this journey. Okay, we need to integrate our successes into our identity. I'm going to say it again. We need to integrate our successes into our identity. So let's say you've achieved something and you feel like, yes, I'm a champion, and you're so excited, you feel so good about yourself. And then 3 days later, I suck. When my middle sweetest daughter, we used to do a journal where we would write notes back and forth to each other. So she would say, my dance teacher made me feel horrible today and I feel like I'm awful. And then I'd write, pages of believe in yourself and da 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 da. Or she would get a compliment from someone. I'd say, write it in the book, write it in the book. And then a week later, when she was still kind of feeling cruddy, I'd say, go back to page 16, and I'd have her recall back. But I think sometimes we don't do that. So my challenge for this room today is I challenge you this week to write down all of your accomplishments and let them really, really, really believe them, see them, believe them, know that they're there to help you to go to the next thing. We discount, you've heard this before, we discount what we can do in a year, right? So, or we overthink what we can do in a year, but we discount what we can do in 5 years. So really take the time to think about the greatness that you are and that you've been, and then use that as a tool to help you when the fear gets really, really loud. John Maxwell says, fear fertilizes weeds. Fear fertilizes weeds. So here's a new thing I've been working on too. I'm just going to share it with the room, is I write down my biggest fear. And then I say, and if that happens, then I'll do this. And if that happens, then I'll do this. And if that happens, then I'll do this. All the way down to I'm homeless and I'm in jail. And then I figure out how I would get out of that. So one of my irrational fears is getting buried alive. Okay, that's really weird, is getting buried alive. And when I was younger, I would have these dreams of getting buried alive, and I physically would work out what I would do if I was buried alive. Like, okay, I would scream, and then I would do this, and then I would do this. But it helps me not to be afraid. So I'm gonna call on someone. So sometimes taking yourself to the worst case scenario, there's actually books written about the worst case scenario. So in the audition, do the audition thing. I went to the audition. What's the worst case scenario? I get cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what are you going to do next? Then I'm going to learn from that audition. And what are you going to do next? Then I'm going to go to another audition and blah, blah, blah. The cycle goes on and on and on. And we're actually going to be talking about that next week in resilience. Thanks, Crystal. That was a super hard one. Thank you. So my new mantra is, I'm brave enough to handle the hard. I am brave enough to handle the hard. Tomorrow might be gross, but soon tomorrow will be yesterday.
My gosh.
You know, the world is going to, Britt Barron in the RISE conference said, the world goes beyond today. I'm going to add in this audition, this job. Choose to speak your dream even in massive opposition. Choose to speak your dream even in massive opposition. Because when it has voice, we can show up fully. We can show up fully. So, how do we have courage for the long haul? Anyone? It sounds so easy, right? Oh, it's so easy. I'm going to do my work and I'm going to write my pages and I'm going to do that. But it's the actual do it for a long time that sucks, right? When you're tired and when you're like, I don't want to. You mamas on this call who are teaching their children, you deserve freaking awards. I don't even know. I would have to put more money in my children's therapy fund if that was me. For sure. But I think the greatest, the do part is the part that traps us. John Maxwell says, prepare today so you don't have to repair tomorrow. Prepare today so you don't have to repair tomorrow. I think it's not only physically as a performer to prepare, but I think it's mentally. And by showing up, I hope that in some crazy way that I'm giving you a tool or a thought process that will help you with that. But importantly, it's about training all those parts, training your heart while you grow your art. You know, it's all of that. When Julia Cameron in her book, and I didn't put this in the book titles, The Artist's Way, which every artist should do and read and then finish it and start all over. I think that's the last page. Yay, you finished it. Now start over. She talks about all things come from a place of love or fear. And the reason we get sad at auditions or when we don't get a job or when something doesn't go the way we want to is not because we hate it. It's because we love it. It's because we're encouraging with our whole heart, right? We're all in, all of it. She writes, love is the substance of life. Everything connected in love. Absolute everything is connected in love. One of my first big jobs, I did a job at Radio City Music Hall. And it was the night before the first rehearsal where I was the associate choreographer and I was going to be teaching the Rockettes. I was freaked out. I had never had so much anxiety in my life. I couldn't sleep. I every 15 minutes was doing push-ups. I redid my choreography 100 times. It was so scary. And I read this quote from Julia Cameron and I said, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to greet this day with love. I'm gonna greet it with love. I'm gonna greet my cast with love. I'm gonna greet the Rockettes with love. I'm gonna greet it with love. And it changed my mind, changed my mindset. And it ended up being pretty freaking rad. I mean, I was doing grandités by myself across the Radio City Music Hall stage. I was like, ah! Of course I have no pictures. But I love the idea that courage isn't always a lion's roar. It is also the silence of an ant working patiently, persistently, and never giving up. That's quoted Eric Thomas. Persistently train yourself to keep on going. And you know what? There's always going to be haters. Brene Brown said, and I'm going to quote her because I think this is the most awesome thing. Don't try to win over the haters. You are not a jackass whisperer. Okay? There's always going to be people who don't like you. So what? We don't care about them, right? There are always going to be haters. Taylor Swift, haters going to hate. Whatever. Let it go. right? Feel, don't conceal. Now, you cannot control how that makes you feel. Because I don't like it when people don't like me. Oh my gosh, I'm the biggest pleaser that ever walked the planet. And so if I think someone doesn't like me, it destroys my ever loving heart. And those are not your people. That's right, Crystal, those are not your people. But then I have to go, oh yeah, you know what? I don't know what's going on. And so I've said it before, I think, in this format, but be curious, don't criticize. Just go, I wonder why they're so dumb and evil. You know, Ralph Waldo Emerson said, whatever course you decide upon, there is always someone to tell you that you are wrong. There are always difficulties arising which tempt you to believe that your critics, the haters, your critics are right. To map out courage, action and follow it to the end requires courage. You know, someone's pots and pans or someone's pots and pans. I'm all time for dinner. Not really. Think about this. Somewhere there is a young person, younger than you, because you're all young people. There's a person younger than you working hard on their craft, practicing their skill, hoping that someday their dreams will come true. Somewhere today, there are hundreds and thousands of people, young and old, dreaming of a different set of circumstances for their life because deep down inside, they believe they were meant for more. That's today. Here's the game changer. How many of those people go right back to the same rehearsal hall, to the same desk, to the same life, with the same circumstances, and think the same thoughts over and over again and never do anything about it? This is a great tragedy. So many repeating the same habits every day and hoping for a different outcome. The truth is, nothing in your life changes until you do. You have to act on your desire to be different. I don't like that. I want it to be easy. Dang it. But to love ourselves and support each other in the process of becoming real is perhaps the greatest single act of daring greatly. So see, look, kind of go from page to page and look at all these faces. Look at all these beautiful human beings who are on this page. Some you know, some you don't know. They're all here because they know they were made for more. They know they were made for more. And a mantra that I have sitting on my wall right now is, we did not come this far to only go this far.
Yes.
We did not come this far to only go this far. So here's the truth. Here's my last question. Does it really matter if you get the job, the audition? Nope. It matters that you show up for the life you really want. So my question for you is, what's the next right choice? Go to the stinking audition.
Show up.
Show up. Show up to your life. So that's my story. Does anyone have any questions or comments? You can raise your hand. You can do a thumbs up. You can. And if you have an idea that you're like, you know what, let's talk about blah, 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 blah. Would you like at Linda Love-Simmons and like send me a little thing and say, you know what, can we talk about this or that? My next 3, I have, this one is courage. Next week is resilience. The week after that is consistency or leading from the chorus. So if you have an idea or a thought, will you just let me know? And there's so many great things coming up. Make sure that you, 3D Theatricals is so generous. You can donate if you want to, or it's just so generous to offer all of these classes and all these opportunities for us to, remember what I said last week, skill up, to gain skill, you know. And there's so many. I took a class with one of my favorite New York teachers yesterday, Al Blackstone. And so there's a million things you can be doing to help you to get through this well, to skill up, and maybe you'll have it'll give you some tools to help you to be brave. Did anybody raise their hand? I can't see. I'm opening the chat.
While you're looking, I'm going to be using a good portion of this next time I give a speech at auditions or callbacks. Next time I give a speech to all the actors, I'm just going to do this whole thing.
Okay. Well, when you go to an audition, man, it's really, or an interview or a new job, it's about showing up authentically, right? Don't be a faker, because that's dumb.
Don't be a faker.
Don't be a faker.
Krista has a question. Krista has a question. Go ahead, Krista.
Linda, can you go over your 7 tips again? I somehow only got 4.
Yes, I can text them to you too. But they're be brave or be warm. And then I always forget the order, so I have to look at my notes. So following them, I don't know where they are. Be brave, be smart, be cute, be nice.
Be aggressive. Did we say that?
Be prepared. Yeah, be prepared. Actually, be prepared is the first one, and believe in yourself is number 7. Okay, thanks. I'll send those out again too. I forgot.
Linda, are you okay if we share your email address?
Yeah.
Can people email you?
Yeah, people can email me. I'm love.simmons@cox.net. So I'd love to hear from you. This is a love project for me, P.S., because every week is a chapter of my book. but more than that, it just is such an extraordinary way to connect, right? And I'm gonna I want to spotlight you and put the spotlight on you, not on the things that I've done, because I think that you are far more extraordinary than I am. But together, we're gonna go freaking far. Together we go far. All right, Amber and Gigi, I'm gonna hand it back to you.
Well, thank you, Linda Love-Simmons and Miss Amber Sneed. We're so blessed to have you both, and Linda to share all this. And